We're assembled here today to pay our final respects to the honored dead. As a young lad, I would lie across the back of my couch on Saturday afternoons and watch. I was amazed, inspired, and sometimes genuinely terrified. From the salt vampire and the man trap to the unstoppable horror of the doomsday machine. These episodes didn't just entertain me, they imprinted on me. They made the universe feel vast, dangerous, mysterious, and they trusted me to sit with that. Star Trek didn't talk down to me. It didn't rush to comfort me. It let me feel fear, wonder, and curiosity all at once. It showed me that monsters weren't always claws and fangs. Sometimes they were ideas, obsessions, logic taken too far, power without conscience. I didn't fully understand what I was watching back then, but it understood me. Then came the next generation. New ships, new faces, new decades. But it was still Star Trek. The tone was different, the questions were bigger, and I was old enough now to understand what the show was really doing. Star Trek wasn't telling stories about the future. It was using the future to talk about us. It trusted that the audience could wrestle with uncertainty, that we could sit with moral gray instead of demanding easy answers. That growth came from debate, reflection, and sometimes admitting we were wrong. It respected continuity, not just of plot, but of purpose. Different eras, different styles, but the same core belief. That knowledge mattered. That restraint mattered. That compassion was a strength, not a flaw. Star Trek didn't exist to reassure us that we were already enlightened. It existed to challenge us, to become better. And that is why it mattered across generations. It met us where we were as children, and it gave us wonder and fear as young adults. It gave us questions and responsibility. As adults, it asked us whether we were still living up to the future it imagined. So today, we're not mourning a show. We're honoring a philosophy. And like many philosophies, it did not die in a single moment. It was not killed by one bad episode, or one failed movie, or new cast. It faded when the purpose changed. Around 2009, something subtle but important happened. Star Trek stopped asking questions and started delivering answers. It stopped trusting the audience to think, and it began insisting that we feel. The future was no longer a place to explore ideas. It became a backdrop for action, anger, and urgency. The universe grew louder, but smaller. Conflict became constant, not meaningful. Hope was no longer assumed. It had to be justified. Institutions that was once represented aspiration became things to tear down rather than improve. Where Star Trek once said, "This is who we could be," it began to say, "This is who we are, just with better technology." And that's not evolution, that's surrender. The original Star Trek believed humanity could grow beyond its worst instincts. Not perfectly, not easily, but deliberately. It believed knowledge mattered, that restraint mattered, that compassion was not weakness, but wisdom earned through the struggle. Modern Star Trek often mistakes cynicism for realism, volume for urgency, and trauma for depth. It wears the uniform, it speaks the language, but no longer carries the mission. So, yes, the franchise continues. New ships still fly, new stories are still told, but the things we are honoring today, the thing that once trusted us to be thoughtful, patient, and better than we were, that Star Trek has passed. What remains is not failure, it's inheritance. Because the philosophy still exists wherever stories dare to imagine a future that challenges us instead of flattering us, where monsters are ideas, where power is questioned, where hope is quiet, earned, and stubborn. That Star Trek does not belong to studios. It belongs to those who grew up believing in the future that should mean something. And that is worth remembering. Star Trek, rest in peace.